As you go back to your people, what's the goal? You've got to mimic the success of this event. Inform them, inspire them, and bring them to clarity. You've got to over-message it. People haven't heard you until they start mimicking you. That's the reality. People haven't heard you until you hear them in the hallway trying to do your voice, trying to say the things you say. When you start hearing that as a manager, you're successful. That's when they've heard you. We think, oh, I told them once, they've got it. It is so wrong. It is so wrong. We've got to go back, we've got to communicate, we've got to over-communicate. What are you up against when you go back there? Well, you're up against the two great excuses of human history. First greatest excuse of human history, I'm too young for that stuff. Second greatest excuse of human history, I'm too old for that stuff. 150 years ago, Henry David Thoreau, he left Concord, Massachusetts. He went out to Walden Pond. He grew himself his own food. He built himself a little shack. Began to write one of the most famous pieces of English literature. It took him 7 pages in his journal to conclude that most men lead lives of quiet desperation. In the past decade, I've had the extraordinary privilege of traveling in more than 50 countries. I've traveled in all 50 states of your great country, and I've seen nothing to believe that Thoreau would change his mind if he were alive today. Most men and most women lead lives of quiet desperation. Why? Because we stop dreaming, and then we start believing we're too young or we're too old. Do not let those be your excuses. Tiger Woods, 3 years old when he first broke 50 for 9 holes of golf. Mozart, 8 years old when he wrote his first symphony. Charles Dickens, 12 years old when he quit school to work in a factory pasting labels on shoe polish. Dickens. Why? Because his father had been imprisoned because he couldn't pay his debts, and Dickens needed money to get his father out of jail. Anne Frank, 13 years old when she began her diary. Ralph Waldo Emerson, 14 years old when he enrolled at Harvard. Paul McCartney, 15 years old when John Lennon invited him to join a band. Bill Gates, 19 years old when he co-founded Microsoft. Joe DiMaggio, 26 years old when he hit safely for 56 consecutive games without steroids. It's extraordinary, isn't it? Yeah, he didn't need steroids. He had Marilyn Monroe, you know. Steroids, no, it's all right, thanks. William Shakespeare was 31 years old when he wrote Romeo and Juliet. Thomas Jefferson was 33 years old when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. Mother Teresa was 40 years old when she began her work in Calcutta. What's the danger? Danger is we say, oh yeah, Mother Teresa, her whole life in Calcutta, right? Wrong. 40 years old, started a new life. 40 years old, dreamt a new dream. And in the next 20 years, she captured the imagination of the whole world. Do not say I'm too old. Do not say I'm too young. Pablo Picasso, 55 years old when he painted Guernica and began a revolution in the arts. Dom Perignon, 60 years old when he produced the first glass of champagne. Oscar Hammerstein, 64 years old when he wrote The Sound of Music. Winston Churchill, 65 years old when he became Britain's Prime Minister and picked a fight with Hitler. Nelson Mandela, 71 years old when he was released from more than 20 years in South African prison. 4 years later, at the age of 75, he's elected president of South Africa. Michelangelo, 72 years old when he designed the Dome of St. Peter's in Rome. 24 years old when he carved the Pieta. Benjamin Franklin, 79 years old when he invented bifocals. And aren't you glad he did? Frank Lloyd Wright was 91 years old when he finished his work on the Guggenheim Museum. Dmitri Yurdantis was 98 years old when he ran a marathon. Dmitri Yurdantis was 98 years old when he ran the Athens Marathon. And Arichi Araya was 100 years old when he climbed Mount Fuji. Do not say, I'm too old. Do not say, I'm too young. Now is your time. When is your time? Now is your time. Thanks so much. Have a great day.